And thank you for joining today, this evening. Before we get started, I would like to just allow people time to come in and then we will just talk. Well, I will talk. And if you want to engage, you can absolutely engage in the chat wherever you are watching from. I know we are live on what is this called? The LinkedIn, the YouTube, and the Facebook. I'm so old. So today we're going to, well, this evening we're going to discuss what it means to be in consent with self. What does consensual relationship look like? Not just with self, but also with the planet. And how does one be in consensual relationship? Is consent a thing that one can actually embody, mind, body, and spirit? And what does that look like in real time? But before we do that, I would love to take some time to give gratitude and do some grounding. And if you are watching, I would love for you to say hello in the chat, greetings, love, and just where you're calling from or like taking the video from. That'd be cool to know too. But before we do all that, I would love to ground. So every experience that we do with loving healing work, I am Fatima, the co-birth of loving healing work. We always like to ground ourselves in the moment. So grounding is bringing yourself into your body, connecting with the body. It allows us to align our nervous system. So a lot of times our nervous system is in fight, flight, or freeze response. And or our brain is just racing, right? We have a lot to do. We're always doing something. There's things that we're always thinking of. And just being able to be present with oneself is a gift. You know, the present is a gift. So I'm going to invite us to be in the present with ourselves and in our bodies in a way that doesn't cause harm, in a way that's consensual. So consent is about asking and then allowing oneself to do whatever the answer is. So I'm inviting you to engage with in a consensual grounding process with me. I'm inviting you to do this. And with this invitation, I invite you to ask yourself, do you want to? And if you don't want to, you don't have to. This is consent. Consent is being able to say, I don't, what you want to do, what you don't, what you do want to do, what you don't want to do, and then either do those things or not do those things. So if I'm asking you, for example, to roll your shoulders back and invite your spine to be engaged, and your body is like, I don't feel like doing that. I want to stretch my arms and I need to do this and I need to do that. Do that. Don't do what I'm asking you to do just because I'm asking you to do it. I mean, what I'm asking you to do, I promise, is actually, good for your body. But if it doesn't align, your body is like, I would rather do this. This is consent. Do the thing that your body wants. So in grounding, if you are sitting down in a seat where your feet can be placed on the ground, I invite you to check in with your body first. Does your body want to engage in this way? Does your body want to be present? And if it doesn't, ask why. But ask your body, would it be okay for you to be here and now with your body? If your mind is racing, invite your mind to just take a moment and so that you can be with your body. So thank your mind for being your mind. Thank your mind for showing up in the ways that it shows up. Thank your thoughts for being those thoughts. But in this moment, at this time, what you're being invited to do with your body and your body being okay with it. So I invite you to check in. And as you're checking in, inhale and exhale, honoring the breath. I invite you to bring your feet hip width distance apart, your knees at a 90-degree angle if you're sitting down, if that feels comfortable for you. And invite your legs to be present, invite your feet to be pressed into the ground. If you have on shoes, I invite you to take your shoes off just so you can feel the soles of your feet on the earth. Bring your core into this moment. Invite your core to engage with you, your spine. Invite your shoulders away from your ears, opening up your chest, opening up your heart. Ask your neck to be intentional about holding your head as if there's a book on top, and allow the energy of the earth to hold your feet, but press down into the earth and then pull yourself up so you're actively engaged in the moment with your spine. Inhaling and exhaling, allowing yourself to be present with not just the sound of my voice, but your body, because your body deserves you. As you inhale and exhale, being present, I invite you to just do a body scan. Is there any tension in your body? Do you need to roll your neck because you've been sitting at the desk all day? Do you need to roll your shoulders because you've been sitting down all day? Is there something that you can do with your body because your body's just like, hey, I just need some attention? Like my body is like, it likes to move. So I try to move it when it asks me to. So in your scan, taking some breaths and whatever it is your body's asking you to do, your body may be asking you to drink some water. Drink some. Not Coke, not coffee, not tea. Your body's like, hey, I haven't had any water in an hour. You should give your body some water. And inhale and exhale. And then check in to see if your body needs for you to do anything else. And what you do on one side, yeah, please do on the other. This is alignment and balance. Inhaling, exhaling. And this is just showing your body some love, consensually engaging with your body. So our bodies tell us what we want all the time. And a lot of times you don't give it to it. So I'm just inviting you to be here now, providing your body with what it's asking for in a way that aligns for your body. Inhaling and exhaling. And then when it feels right for you, I'm going to invite you to bring your shoulders back, invite your spine to engage, act like there's a book on your head. I like to always give gratitude before we start anything. But before I give gratitude, I would love to teach you these mudras. So I have been working with mudras as a part of my healing journey and healing chakras and different things. And so today, there's this illumination mudra for the solar plexus chakra, because in Kemetic practices, Tuesdays are for the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is over our willpower. It allows us to do this like warrior thing. It's how the innate power that rises from the root chakra and our sacral chakra comes up into our solar plexus and causing this beautiful light. It's a beautiful illumination. So the mudra is you take your thumb over the nail of your ring finger and the other fingers are straight, and you do it for both hands and you bring them to your thighs. Then you just inhale and exhale, allowing yourself to feel the lightness, allowing yourself to feel your own power, your own will. Inhaling and exhaling. And as you do this, I would like to give thanks for everything that had to come together for us to be in this moment here and now. I like to give thanks for those that are no longer on this plane, that are now ancestors, that are now spirit guides. Give thanks for them. Give thanks for the sun, the moon, the stars, all of the elements, water, fire, land, and air. I give thanks for our breath, for it connects us, even though we are not in the same place at the same time. We are all connected. We are not alone. Every time we breathe, we are breathing air that someone else somewhere else is breathing. We aren't alone. It's a beautiful thing. And I like to give thanks for our ancestors that did not know trauma, our ancestors that were consensually engaged with themselves, others, and the planet. These ancestors teach us that we can transcend our trauma, that there's more to life than moving from the space of being traumatized and experiencing trauma. I also like to give thanks for our ancestors that did know trauma, for they teach us reconciliation and healing. They teach us how to make amends. They teach us how to grow and transcend our trauma. They teach us how to hold the grief and the pain and how to alchemize all that is so that we are in alignment and moving from a place of peace and fulfillment. And I'm thankful for all of you that will watch are watching this now and will watch this later, and everything that had to come for you to be who you are in this moment. I would love to know what you are grateful for. Um, I would love for you to share what you are grateful for. So if it was right for you, I would like for you to type it in the chat, however you are engaging. Just what are you grateful for? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a paragraph. It doesn't have to be one word. It could be whatever feels good for you. And I invite you to just, let that mudra grow, come back into this space, and let us know what you are grateful for. And that gratitude is what's going to take us through this moment, through our time together, through this space of consent. So I am inviting you. The invitations are all real. You get to choose what you do, what you don't do. Because again, when we are in consent, someone asks a question and you get to choose how you respond to that question. And it's a beautiful way of being able to exist in the world because honestly, if we can't connect with ourselves from a consensual space, we can't connect with others. We can't connect with the planet. So I just invite you to think about it from that perspective. And thank you for your comment and what you're grateful for. I'm grateful for everything, the good, the bad. I don't even think things are good or bad. I just think things are. And I'm grateful to be present today. And I'm grateful for the people in my life. So everything. Let's talk about consent. So what is it? Why are we talking about it? This is our last session. And the idea of practicing consent is a really interesting, what I'm learning is a really interesting concept because what I have learned to be true is if people agree to engage in a thing, it mitigates harm. So if I ask you to engage in a conversation or a practice, you're more likely not just to engage, but to not be harmed or to not feel forced, and to be able to move from a space that aligns with what you desire, and what is happening. So we talked about in other sessions how our world isn't a world that is set up to be consensual. Like, let's just talk about slavery, right? Slavery wasn't consensual. No one consented to slavery. Actually, no one has really consented to the artificial constructs that created slavery. Like, people don't choose to be white, they're just born a complexion, and that complexion has been given these fictitious powers that they are now engaged in, but not consensually. Same thing on the other side, right? Someone said that because you're in a certain body, like black, or you look a certain way that may be brown, that you are a black person or you are a person of color. And because you are these things, then all of these characteristics are now like pinned towards it. But again, nobody black and brown consented to being called that. We weren't at the table and said, yes, please call me black, call me a Negro, and then make sure that when you call me those things, you take away my humanity. Or same thing about being a woman or a man. Someone said because we are in a certain body, that body says if you are in this body, then therefore you are a man. And most people don't really want to the responsibilities that come with these labels, but we embrace these labels all the time. And most of us do it in a non-consensual way. So what does it look like to consent? Not just with ourselves, But the labels that have been given to us, like mother, sister, daughter, all of those labels come with boxes. Everything that I just named comes with a box, and you're supposed to act a certain way, you're supposed to speak a certain way. And if you don't, then you're not properly engaging with whatever label we're discussing. But each label, if we're not consensually engaged with it, takes us from being who we actually are. And who we are isn't whatever label society says we are because we look a certain way or we believe a certain thing. All of those things disconnect us from who we actually were born to be. So when we're in consent with ourselves, we're able to say, do I want to do that? Does this serve me? Do I have the capacity to do this? Does this align with what I believe? And those questions are all consensual questions because what we have been taught to do is to do what those that have come before us have always done. That's just the way it's been. And so we do it. And in doing it, we're then harmed or someone else is harmed because, in all actuality, no one consented to engaging that way, right? No one really consents to being oppressed. No one consents to being put in a box and made to be smaller. No one says, yes, I want you to make me less than a human by laws or by actions. No one says that because no one's asked. No one's really asked, hey, do you want to be called this? Or what do you want to be called? How do you want me to engage with you? How would you like me to talk to you? We don't engage with each other in this way. And most of it is because we don't even engage with ourselves in this way. So, for example, I always like to ask, how many of you have been hungry? Your body said, please feed me right now, and you didn't eat. I know I have. How many of you have been hungry and didn't drink any water? How many of you have been tired and didn't go to sleep? Your body asked for a thing and you did the opposite of that thing. That is not being in consensual relationship with oneself. That is doing the complete opposite of consent. That is where harm is caused. We'll take it to external, right? How many people, like, talk to you without asking you, are you in the space to be talked to about the thing they want to talk to you about? They just out here just and you're like, hold on, wait a minute. I wasn't prepared for any of this. But it don't matter because here they are, right? They came to you and now they're telling you all these things that may be triggering, all these things that you're not prepared to receive, and then you are now responding from this place of not being full because you weren't in consent when they started talking to you about whatever it is. Our society does this to us. Our society says you don't have to be in consent. You can just cross people's boundaries, right? Because you don't know them. You didn't ask. You didn't ask if a person wanted to talk to you about a topic. A person didn't ask you if they wanted to talk to you about a topic. They just regurgitate things to you because in their minds, whatever it is that they need to say is way more important than asking you if you have the capacity to even listen. But most times people aren't even asking themselves if they have the capacity, so they're not going to ask you. So again, this goes back to the internal work because the internal work is the most important work. And we live in a society that says, don't work on yourself because you got to make money. Don't work on yourself because you got to go to school so you can make money. Don't work on yourself because you're a partner and you got to take care of somebody else. There's always a reason why we shouldn't be in consent with ourselves. And that reason is usually not in the benefit of us. It's for the benefit of whoever needs us to not be in consent with ourselves. What would happen if you said no because you were tired and your body has said no, 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 please, 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 please don't. We don't got it. We can't go. But you made yourself go to this event. You end up getting mad or something ends up happening. You leave your keys, you drop your phone, and now you mad because something happened. And the only reason why it happened is because you didn't listen to yourself in the first place when yourself was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. This is how we stay out of alignment. Being in consent is being in alignment with oneself. If you are consensually engaging in your with yourself constantly, no one can tell you who you are, no one can tell you what you should do, no one can tell you what you want. It's hard to control people who are consensually engaging with everything they do in their life. So, for example, do you wake up in the morning or whenever it is that your body decides to wake up and you go about your day? Do you ask yourself, what do you need? Like, hey, what do you need from me today? And listen, do you give yourself space to ask yourself what you need each day and then listen and then do it? Most of the time, we don't. Most of the time, people, wake up, they scrolling through their social media, they talking to somebody. They're not still enough to just listen to themselves. They're not still enough to receive whatever answer it is that they've been asking themselves. Do I need to go to work today? Do I need to take this job? Do I have the capacity to be present for people in this moment and sit still and listen? And then after you listen, do it. What happens then? What happens when you are so full of what you need that now you can give it to others? When we practice consent with ourselves, we can be in consent with other people. But most people be like, well, I'm in a consensual relationship with other people. Are you? Because you out here hungry, dehydrated, and tired, and that don't look like you in consent with yourself. So if you out here hungry, tired, and dehydrated, then how are you gonna be in consensual relationship with me when you yourself don't seem like you're listening to you? What happens when we don't listen? Why is it that we have a problem with this? And that's easy. It's just how we were made in this society and how we were conditioned, not even how we were made. So the question is, how do you flow with consent in a non-consensual world? Uh, there's going to be some sacrifices. There's going to be some people who are not going to get it. There's going to be some things that will change because people aren't moving in consent. And so when you start doing it, it mitigates harm for you and others, but it doesn't mean that others are going to receive it. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be the way, because it's not. It's not the way yet. The goal is for it to be the way. The goal is for people to stop enough to ask themselves what they need, what they want. Do they have the capacity to do a thing? And then be able to give that to other people. Because again, you can't give what you don't have. So how do you practice consent with others if you're not practicing it with yourself? And the way to practice consent with others, which is I think is beautiful, is asking them, can you ask them questions? A lot of people like it gets on people's nerves in the beginning because they're not accustomed to it. But what I found in my personal life and in my professional life, I stay out of trouble. I'm not harming people when I'm asking questions. And then respecting the answer, because that's the other part, right? Like I can ask questions, but if I'm not respecting the answer people give me, then I'm the whole asking question thing is like a moot point. So I learned to ask and then fulfill the requests for myself first, and then being able to do that with others. So if I'm asking, can I ask you questions? And you're like, no, that means I can't ask you why I can't ask you questions because you told me I can't ask you questions. Although I want to, because I want to know why. But if I'm respecting your answer, then I respect that you don't want me to ask any questions, which means that I really have to be like, dang, okay, because I'm in consensual relationship with myself, I want to ask you questions. But because again, you are my reflection and you are me and I am you, we are a part of each other because that's a part of what we are, right? Then I have to be honest enough to say if I don't listen to you and respect that you don't want me to ask you questions, then I'm harming you. And if I'm harming you, I'm harming myself because we're connected. And that's not easy because we want what we want. I want to know things. You have the knowledge and information of things I want to know. So help, talk to me. But if someone isn't in the space to talk to me, I can't make them. And then I can't get mad if I try to, and then they respond in a way that I don't like. Because again, we're in consensual relationship, and I asked you a question, you answered the question, I go with it. That's consent. Asking people, is it a good time for me to talk to you right now? And then telling them what you want to talk about so that they can consent. They can ask themselves, do I want to talk to them right now? This is anything that I have the capacity to talk to because I had a long day. Like a lot of times people get in arguments, disagreements because they're going into a conversation that they have been thinking about for like a week. And that person they weren't thinking about it for a week. They didn't even know you were thinking about it for a week. And so all of a sudden now you're talking to them and you're talking to them about things that you think that they should be engaged in with you, and how you didn't even tell them you wanted to talk to them about the thing. And then when you do choose to talk to them about whatever that thing is, it's not the time for them. Because I don't know about any of you, but I've been approached after a long day, being out at a house for 16 hours. And now you want to talk to me about something that I'm not even thinking about because I was doing this thing for 16 hours. I had to get home. I'm just trying to make it home because I want to shower. I want to lay down. And you want to talk to me about something that I'm not even thinking about. And yes, I respect that you've been thinking about it, but I haven't been thinking about it. So I've gotten into arguments and caused harm because a person didn't ask me if there was a time and space to have certain conversations. And I've been on both sides where I wanted to talk to people about things that they didn't have the capacity for. And I didn't ask them. And because I didn't ask them, harm was caused. And it was my fault because I didn't know. I wasn't mindful about what was happening. A mindful being, I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of myself. And if I'm not aware of myself, I can't be aware of somebody else. And if I'm not aware, then I'm going to cause harm. When we are engaged consensually, what happens, which is, I think is beautiful, it limits the harm. And if harm is caused, it provides space to discuss it. Like, how do you discuss harm without being able to consensually do so? How do you get people to see you or you see them if there's not consent about how you're going to engage, how you want to be talked to? But again, if you don't know that about yourself, how do you tell people? How do you tell someone, I really didn't like how you talk to me? Like, I don't talk to myself that way. I don't like it. And then let people meet you. If that's how they engage, cool. You can consensually not engage with them because they said, well, this is how I talk. This is how I'm going to talk. Like it or you don't. Now, because you had a conversation about this is what I don't like. Well, first, you ask them, can I talk to you about something? I really, really like to talk to you about how you engage with me and how you communicate. And do you have the capacity to talk about that right now? If they say yes, you talk about it. And if they're acting in a way that doesn't align with that yes that they gave, pause the conversation and let them know, like, maybe this isn't the best time to talk about it because you don't seem like you're in the place to talk about it. But it's all consent, each step of the way. And then being able to say, okay, if they do consent to talk about it, saying, I don't like how you talk to me. And I wanted to know, is this how you engage? And is there any room for compromise? Is there room to meet? And let them tell you who they are, how they want to show up. And now you get the space to choose. But now you know, because you asked. Instead of experiencing it, and now you're in this experience of turmoil because they talked to you in a way that you didn't want to be talked to. They didn't know that you didn't want to be talked to that way and that you're not consenting and engaging with them in that way. So you don't have to. But now y'all fighting because no one asked any questions. And then if you did, no one honored the answer of those questions. Because you can't change people and we can't change people's minds. We can just consent to engage with them in how they choose to show up. Again, we can't do that work if we're not doing it with ourselves. So, how can you engage with yourself consensually in a different way or at all? I would love to know in the chat what you think. How can you engage with yourself consensually? What does that look like for you? And as you are typing it out, I want you to think about engaging with yourself this way first, not engaging with others. How do you engage with yourself? How do you check in on yourself? Then ask yourself questions. How do you do that? What kind of questions do you want to ask yourself? I like to ask myself like three main questions. What do you want? Is this in a, like, do I have the capacity to do it? And does this align with my purpose? Those are usually what I ask. What do I want? And I ask what do I want because what I want is what I need. So I'm gonna get what I need because it's what I want. And I'm in a consensual relationship with what I need and what I want. So honoring, what do you need? What do you want? Answering it and then giving it. I always like to tell the story of how I learned consent. I learned consent from a tree. I learned consent from a tree. Would that be 7 years ago? 8 years ago? It'll be 7 years ago because I took my shoes off April 2015, and I learned this. No, it was in January 2016. So 7 years ago, in Puerto Rico. It was this beautiful tree, and it was one of those trees that was close to the ground. It was an easy climb. If you climb trees, it's a great climb, great climb. So me being an avid, like I love climbing trees, consensually. But it was the first time. So I climbed the tree. I tried to climb the tree twice, and I couldn't get up the tree. And this is like an easy tree. I should be able to like zoom up the tree. And something, all I heard was ask it. I'm like, what? All I heard was ask it. So I did the thing. I put my hands on the tree. My feet were already without shoes. And I took a moment and I asked the tree, would it be okay if I climbed it? And then all I heard was yes. And I climbed up the tree. Now, the best part of the story is my friend, also an avid tree climber, same thing. She couldn't climb a tree. And I looked at her and I said, you're going to have to ask it. And she looked at me like I had three heads. I get it. Because come on now, I'm telling you that you're going to have to ask this tree, is it okay if you climb it? And I'm like, you're going to have to ask the tree. And then she asked the tree, and guess what happened? Zoomed up the tree. And that's how I learned consent. I learned consent that if a non-human living thing can request that I engage with it from this place of consent, then what have I been doing with myself? What have I been doing with other people? What I've been doing with like other living beings that are like that have fur and legs and move? Have I been in consensual relationship with these things? No, I haven't. Not until I learned. We are conditioned to believe that we can do what we want to anything, plants, animals, each other, ourselves. And most of the things that we do, it doesn't benefit anybody. And if it does, it doesn't, no, I'll take that back. It doesn't benefit the whole. It does benefit a person, but not the whole. Like, there's 20 something plants in my house. I've had these plants since I moved in almost 2 years ago. I asked all the plants if they wanted to be in my house. And all the plants that didn't want to be in my house died. And I think only that was one. Yeah, I think one died. And I don't even think one died. Yeah, one died. There was an interesting, like, viney plant. I just couldn't keep that alive. But it didn't want to be here. And so it died. I wasn't listening to that plant. I couldn't speak that plant's language. It wasn't feeling me. It died. But plants, they talk to you. They tell you when they want to be watered. They let you know when they need to be repotted. If we listen and if we are attentive to what is happening, all these living things around us, they're energy, and that energy can engage consensually. We just have been made to believe that we're the only ones, because we have this brain and we, can speak, that we're the only ones that deserve, consensual check-ins. Not true. If you love dogs, your dog deserves consent. Your four-legged animals, like, animals deserve for you to engage. I get tired of people just walking up to, like, things and touching them. It's like, did you ask? Like, did you ask the dog, or did you ask that child? Especially little humans. Little humans, people cross their boundaries all the time. Most of us have learned to not be in consent with ourselves because of how our life was as little humans. As little humans, I'll tell you like this: as little humans, a lot of the big humans, right, will tell the little humans, hug Uncle such and such, or say hi. And the little humans be like, I don't want to talk to them people. Instead of us allowing the little human to consensually engage with whomever we're trying to introduce them to, we try to make them do the thing we want them to do when we want them to do it, as if they don't know what's good for them in that way. The consent stops when we don't honor when a little human says, hey, I don't want to. So now, as adults, we're in conflict with ourselves and in our bodies. And that's usually the issue, because there's spaces where consent is a thing. Like, the little human doesn't want to hug the big human that they don't know and aren't comfortable with. That should be honored. It shouldn't be, well, they don't know. And so being in consensual relationship with others is also not just adults, but the little humans, because the little humans are the ones that, oh my goodness, big humans cross all their boundaries. And that's because the big human boundary has been crossed and they're not in a consensual relationship themselves. So they don't comprehend that the little human should be able to choose how they engage and who they engage with, and if they engage with them at all. Because that's what this is. Consent is knowing how you want to be engaged with, because you have engaged with yourself in that way. If you, again, drink water because your body asks you to, feed your body because your body asked you to, rest your body because your body asked you to, you're now full. And when someone else comes to you to talk to you about anything, you're coming from a place of fullness. You have all that you need because you gave yourself what you need. So whomever is coming to you to receive from you is receiving from this full place, because you are in alignment with yourself. You have consensually checked in and you are engaging with you from this place of consent. I love that you learned consent from a tree. That's beautiful. Um, because plants and stuff, they bite back, like, they respond back. They don't like something, they tell you. I don't wear shoes. So I stepped on in the beginning of not wearing shoes, but I'm in 7 years, it'll be 8 years this April. And I remember, like, places my feet just weren't, they didn't go, because consensually they didn't consent to go in there. Now in my head, I wanted to go. I wanted to walk over there. But when I checked in my feet were like, nope, we're not doing that. And so I have to, for me, my consent is with my body in all the ways. Like, I have to ask my feet, do you want to go outside? If it's raining and cold, my feet will tell me no. And do you think that I make my feet go outside when my feet are like, no, I don't. My feet guide me. I don't guide my feet. Because I'm in consensual relationship with my body, I don't do a lot of things like eat croissants. I miss croissants, or any bread, because I have a gluten allergy. I haven't been able to eat gluten for 8 years, 9 years, whatever they started to put it in the food. I can't do it. But if I was out of consent relationship with my with my body, you best believe I'd be eating a bagel, danishes, croissants. Oh, I miss a good croissant. Is just the flaky on the outside. baklava, like all of those things I can't eat. Not because I can't eat them, but my body can't eat them. My face breaks out. I start sounding like Rodiga. I start to itch. It's just terrible. But because I had to learn to be in consensual relationship with myself, I had to learn to listen, to ask myself, can I eat this? Like my body. Is this something that we can consume without like a negative response? And if my body's like, yeah, no, we gonna break out and you're not gonna like it, then I don't do it. And I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. It's still hard. It's still hard to not eat the things that I thoroughly enjoy eating. I still don't eat gluten, but like I can't eat grains all the time. There's a lot of things I just can't do. So being in consent with your relationship, being in consensual relationship itself is like even going down to what are you eating? Does your body consent to what you're putting in it? Who are you putting your body around? Because energy is real. Is your body energetically consenting to be in crowds of the types of people that you have it around? And what I mean by that is because energy is real, you may be like, well, I said I was going to go to this thing, and you're energetically, your body is like, I don't want to. No, no, thank you. Stop. No. So then you put your body in a space it didn't want to be in. And now you're surrounded by people that your body never wanted to be surrounded by. And you may have this adverse reaction, whatever that reaction is. And then now you're confused, like, what's going on with my body? Like, why am I responding this way? I don't feel too good. My head hurts, my stomach hurt. Like, I'm not digesting my food. And a lot of the times it's because you're out of consensual relationship with yourself. Yourself said, please stay home. And what you did was, well, I RSVP'd, so I gotta go. No, you don't. No one's gonna fight you for not showing up. The only person that's gonna suffer is you. And most times that's the fact. And so when you're talking about being consent with another person, if you're in this space with another person that didn't consent to be in a space with you, how do you think they're gonna respond? How do you think their bodies are gonna respond? If you say something, they may roll their eyes. If you ask them a question, they may be curt and just like standoffish, which makes sense because they're out of consent with themselves. So if they're not in consent with themselves, then the person that you're getting isn't a consensual person. They're just like there. And how many of us have met those people? How many of us have been those people? I have. I stay at home a lot now because in my head, right? We all know this. In our heads, it sounds like a good idea. Like, oh yeah, yeah, that sounds great. And then we do it. We got like our heads. Let me rewind. Our heads, it sounds like a good idea. Our bodies be like, no, we don't want to. We don't want to. No, stop. But we do it anyway. And then we get mad because we get sick. We get mad because our bodies just stop working. We get foggy brain. And we're like, I don't know what's going on. Yes, you do. Your body said no. You did the thing your body said not to do because your mind RSVP'd, your mind said it wanted to go. And this being out of consent, right, causes you harm because now you're exhausted. Now you're snappy because we're all big kids, right? So when little humans need a nap, what usually happens? They get cranky. When little humans are hungry, what happens? They get cranky. When little humans need water, what happens? They get cranky. So why wouldn't you as an adult human that was once a little human, right? So when we're in consent with ourselves, we are actively engaging in a way that isn't just self-care, but it's self-love. You're loving yourself enough to be in consensual relationship with yourself. And then what happens? It just falls over to everyone else. It falls over to the planet. I can't be in consensual relationship with my plants. y'all can't see my plants, but they right in this corner right here, and I'm looking at them. I can't be in a consensual relationship with my plants because if I wasn't in consent with myself, there's no way. None. I couldn't honor other people and asking them, can I ask them questions? And this is a good time, or do they want me to respond? Because a lot of times people just want you, they talk to you to listen, they don't want a response. So even asking people, do you want me to respond? Is it okay that I respond? Because I have responses, and what you said is like, I kind of want to respond to it. And if they say no, honoring the no. But again, I can't honor their no if I don't honor mine. If I don't honor my yes, if I don't honor my no, then there's no way, and I mean no way, I can possibly honor yours. So no, it's not possible. Not even a little bit. So I want to pause and see if you have any questions or comments before I wrap up and engaging and talking about consent. Would love to know what you think about this topic, how it lands for you. Anything you want to share in the chat would be cool. I'm down to listen or read. My body said it needed water, so I'm going to give it some. So why did we do consent around the holidays? Because this is a time where most people aren't in consent with themselves. You're around people that have influence over your life, your family, your loved ones, etc. And what tends to happen is there's a disconnect in what we want. So some of us eat things that we don't usually eat because our body said no. We put ourselves in environments that we are never usually in. We do things that are really out of alignment with what we need and what we desire because of these things called the holidays. And for me, is asking yourself like, why? Why be out of alignment with yourself because you're around these people? And then how do you be in consent with these people if you're out of consent with yourself? How do you show up full for them in this jovial way when you're not showing up in a full and jovial way for yourself? You are the most important thing. You cannot give what you don't have. I know that we believe that we can. It's not real. You can't give somebody $20 if you don't have $20 to give. So even if you had to find it from somebody else, you still found that $20. It didn't like you have to have it to give it to someone. Consent is the same way. You have to have it to give it to someone. And when you're out of consent with yourself, it is so easy to not listen and engage with other people. I know I've caused so much harm because of it. It's the only reason why I can talk about it. Because I've been on both sides. I've been harmed because people didn't consensually engage with me, and I've harmed others because I didn't consensually engage with them. And I learned that consent mitigates harm. When people can consent to how you talk to them, how you engage with them, things tend to go a lot smoother. Again, I didn't get there until I gave it to myself. Consent isn't just about sex. You should be consenting about everything before sex. Sex is like, to me, if we're in the alphabet, sex is like Y, just the letter Y. Being able to say, "Hey, I don't, I don't have to because my body says it doesn't want to, or this is not. I don't have the capacity to." Not having conversations because you don't have the capacity to. So honoring that your body tells you what it needs. give it to it. And when you can give it to it, then you can give others what their body needs. But you can't do anything for anybody else that you don't do for yourself. And that's a part of manifestation, right? You can manifest what you're doing, what you give, what you are, what you want. So if you want to be in consensual relationship with people and others, then the first person that you need to start with is yourself, because it's important. It's beyond important. You matter. And so you having everything you need from yourself is the most amazing and important thing to you and to those that love you. You taking care of you is love. I love you enough to want you to take care of yourself. I love you enough. I love you so much that I want you to be in consensual relationship with yourself. And this is the part that I want to leave you with. Sometimes when people are in consensual relationship with themselves, it may not involve you. Like being in consent with themselves may mean no longer being in your life in the way that you wanted them to be, or chose for them to be, or desire for them to be. Because if you're in consent, then they're doing what they need, and you're honoring the answer of what they need. And it does, you're right, consensual relationships shows respect. I respect you enough to consent. I respect you as a living being enough to be in consensual relationship with you, to ask you if what I'm doing aligns, to ask you how, what, why, if it's okay. But again, all of that starts with self. If I'm in a consensual relationship with myself, I'm respecting myself to the highest power. If I'm in consensual relationship with myself, I'm loving myself in the most expansive and transformative way. Because the only relationship that you can truly control is the one you have with yourself. All the other ones, you can't control them because those are with other people. But when you are able to be with self in a consensual way, it changes the game. It changes your relationships. It changes how you choose to engage with yourself and others. And it gives you standards of how you want to be engaged with. Because now you know, you've asked yourself, you've answered, and you've given it. So now you can ask for it from somewhere else, from someone else. And if they don't give it to you, you can give it to yourself. But and also you can realize that everybody isn't able to give you what you need, and you can be in consent with that. You can say, oh well, they may not be able to give me this, but we talked about it and I'm okay with it. And so now you're connecting with them from this new space and this new place. And it's a beautiful way of being, because again, you're amazing and you deserve that. And it's great. So I invite you to just think about it. Think about what it looks like and how it moves. And think about life and how you get to choose what you do and how you move. It's your choice, because that's consent. That's sovereignty. Sovereignty is consent. Alignment, being in alignment is consent. So as we close, first, thank you for tuning in and watching live and or the recording. I really invite you to ask yourself questions and answer them. Give yourself you, because you deserve you. Allow yourself to feel what it's like to ask yourself, what do I need? Then be still and silent enough to answer it. And once that question is answered, then follow through. Because Being in consent with others and the planet begins with you. You're amazing. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing work. Thank you for choosing that you could be all that you are, and knowing that it's just consent. And remembering, and you gave a really beautiful example, is that being in frustrated situations usually comes because people didn't ask. And if you ask yourself, then you can demand others to ask you, because you're like, hey, hold on, I asked myself all these questions. So if I ask myself these questions, then I'm going to need you to ask me that. Y'all are beautiful. Please drink water and take care of yourself. Please honor what you need and give yourself what you need every single day, every moment of every day. You should be checking in and being aware of what you need and providing yourself with that, because you deserve it. You really do. I love you. You are loved. You absolutely matter. You absolutely matter. You absolutely matter. And don't let anybody take that away from you, because you do. You matter so much that you should be able to choose how you engage in your everyday life. You matter so much that you have the power to choose how you're engaged with every single day. I'll check in with you. Please follow us on all the social medias, Love and Healing Work. Sign up for our newsletter, Love and Healing Work. Know that we're here and we're ready to hold space for you whenever you need. I hope to connect with you soon. Love.